Oh, that's frustrating. Twice. Opening night, and then now on the back-to-back. It was a winnable game, too. And RJ Barrett out due to a migraine? I ain't trying to start no conspiracies or nothing, but I'm not buying it. 8-man rotation for Tom Thibodeau. There's just so many questions I have that pertain to this weird, frustrating game. A game that I'm sure every Knicks fan can agree with me and say, I wanted it. The way the game started, it was a game that should have been ours, but with the way that the game progressed and things went, I'm also not surprised we didn't come out of here with a victory. Players' fault, coaching fault, or nobody's fault. We just lost the game against a good team. Let's talk about it. Run the intro. What's good, CK Cruz, boy, CK2K, and welcome back to another video. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, hit the notification bell. Do not forget to like this video, and also make sure you are here with us live tomorrow for the Knicks versus Hawks watch along with your boy CK. We had a lot of fun come through. I'll see you guys tomorrow for that. But unfortunately, yesterday, we weren't able to come out with the victory against the Boston Celtics, regardless of how things started to look for us. Because the Knicks in the beginning of the game looked really good. Jalen Brunson off rip wanted this win and was off to a phenomenal start. Jalen Brunson got us going, shooting almost 85% from the field in that first quarter. Well, in the beginning part of the first quarter. Julius Randle was also helpful there offensively for us, and things were just starting to move really well for us. Tom Thibodeau, being shorthanded with the whole RJ Barrett situation, started Josh Hart, and we saw Josh Hart offensively be a pretty solid piece for us as the game went on. So things were looking good for us in the first and a little bit of that second quarter. But as the second quarter started to dwindle down, we saw what was going to be this team for the remainder of the game. We had a solid lead with about a minute and some change going into the half, but just like that, the lead turned into 1 point. Couple of defensive miscues, 2 open threes, an easy gimme shot from Peyton Pritchard off of a miss, double team contested 3 from Julius Randle, and things just started to go downhill for the team. We can go a lot of avenues as far as the negatives of this game. Yes, the fouls were, there was a big differential between fouls going towards the Celtics compared to us. It was frustrating, but to me, I think the biggest key to this game was the interesting choice to go with an 8-man rotation in the second game of a back-to-back. Typically, that's not how these kind of things go. It's very rare that you even see an 8-man rotation in the first month, barring second month of an NBA season. I found that very peculiar, especially when one of the pieces that can go out there and play that 9th man role is a guy like Deuce McBride, who can only help us defensively, since that was our biggest problem in this entire game. Defense, especially on the perimeter. So it was just an odd choice for Thibs to go that route of just trying to run rotations and change up things that have worked so well for this team and do it differently in this game. It was almost like he was trying to overcompensate for the missing piece of RJ Barrett, and it didn't really work out. Now, mind you, in the first half, well, predominantly in that first quarter and the beginning of the second quarter, we saw the second unit with Julius Randle rather than what would have been with RJ Barrett. And in some moments, it was working. We saw Julius Randle moving the ball. We saw him play a bit of that point forward where it looked seamless and it didn't look like Julius Randle was forcing the issue. But then there was other times where Julius Randle would be settling for those shots that you don't want him to take. Now, mind you, statistically, the dude's stats look good, but also to be shooting 25% from free, going 2 for 8 and 7 of 19, the shot selection was iffy. Mind you, I know you got to take a lot of shots. Jalen Brunson took 21 shots, but the shot selection is where my issue comes with Julius Randle in this game. I'm not blaming Julius Randle. I just feel like there were some instances where the shot selection made no sense. And I'm bringing that up because one of the keys to this Knicks run and the reason why a team has been 5-2 with RJ Barrett is ball movement. What's been so good about this Knicks basketball team in the beginning part of the season has been the buy-in, this seemed buy-in of us moving the ball, passing the ball, making the extra pass, something that the second unit predominantly did so much better than the starters. And now when you try to mix it up and replace an RJ Barrett with a Julius Randle, who's not typically good at making that extra pass and is typically trying to find his own shot, you saw the ball movement dwindle, and there wasn't much of that. And because of that, I feel like that also hurt Donte DiVincenzo and Emmanuel Quickley, two guys who really needed to step up in this game. With the lack of pace, with the lack of ball movement, you saw them forcing up shots that weren't going in. Now, a lot of that could have also been on Quickley, and it could have been on Donte. Donte took some gimmies that were wide open that he could not finish, as well as Quickley. But I also feel like a lot of the lack of ball movement and the lack of the pacing, you saw their games dwindle a little bit there. So those are where the main factors where RJ Barrett is missing. But again, it was just odd to me that Tom Thibodeau would choose this game to go into 8-man rotation. This is something I've been waiting to hear anyone ask him a question on. Why go with the shorter rotation? Possibly as the day goes on, before I recorded this video, we'll probably get that answer. But as of right now, I don't understand it, especially in this team where 3 of their dominant guards are not really ginormous in any sense. I feel like Deuce McBride could have been a factor out there. And not only that, I feel like Quentin Grimes could have got a little bit more burn in this game because he was one of the only people that was getting the shot going and was taking good uncontested shots in that third quarter, hell, in that second half. But he got relegated to the bench for Emmanuel Quickley, who was not shooting well. So in my opinion, the rotations and the substitutions were just all over the place in this game, which led to a lot of the lackluster play that happened in that second half. I feel like Josh Hart playing 43 minutes when necessarily didn't have to, and he also played a good amount of minutes in the game prior in this back-to-back. I feel like that hurt him because even though from a shooting percentage, he shot really well, which doesn't surprise me because Josh Hart is going to make sure he's only going to take the right shot. Josh Hart is an efficient shooter when he wants to shoot the ball. So the percentages don't throw me off, but it's the other things and some of the lackluster plays and the shots that he did decide to turn down. Those were where he was having a little bit of an issue. And I say very little bit because I'm not in any way, shape, or form going to put this full blame on Hart. I feel like there was a lot of that to go around, but I also just feel like the choice to play Julius Randle and Josh Hart so many minutes in the second game of a back-to-back when Julius Randle there was a whole moment in the first game where Julius Randle was asking to be subbed out. It just wasn't something that made sense to me in this game. And I ultimately feel like stamina was an issue in this game and why we weren't getting the spots and why we weren't recovering defensively as well as we have in games prior. I mean, mind you, we haven't been the greatest defensive team this season on a consistent level at all, but at the most part, we've been really solid defensively when it came to the clutch moments and us being able to get good buckets as the game gone down. But after going on a stretch of scoring a lot of points, we weren't even able to get to 100. Hell, a few games ago, we scored 99 points in 3 quarters, and now we couldn't even get past the 100-point mark in this game in total. But like I said, missing a key player in RJ Barrett definitely showed its head. We're 0-3 without RJ Barrett this season, and I feel like with the way that the rotation was put together, you see where he's missed and what has been working so well for us up to yesterday's game. So I can't sit here and point fingers at players. Yes, DiVincenzo should have done more in his absence. Yes, you want to see Quickley shoot a better percentage. Yes, Grimes should have got more minutes. But at the same time, a lot of the stuff that had been working for us previously was not going to work in this game without RJ Barrett being that glue piece for different rotations and being the reason why some guys could sit out or some guys could play with certain rotations. And I think that showed its head yesterday. But that's my take. That's my thought on that. Let me know what you thought about this game. Do you think I'm letting some of these players off a little too easily? Should we be giving Julius Randle a little bit more of a hard time for his shot selection in this game? It was awful. The turnovers were awful, but I'm not going to put the sole blame on Julius Randle in this game, in a game where we need him to take a big majority of shots. Didn't like his shot choice. I'm never a fan of his jump passing. Those are two things that irritate my being when it comes to his game. But I'm not going to put all this on Julius Randle. Jalen Brunson looked good for us, but I feel like it was weird that we went away from him offensively in the weighing moments of the fourth quarter. I don't know how much of that was him. I don't know how much of that was the defense, but that was something I also found odd. I mean, at least get the shot up was something I was looking forward for Jalen Brunson in that fourth quarter, but it is what it is. Like I said, tough loss, one that's going to hurt us. But, you know, to start this season 5-5 with the rough schedule, the weird back-to-backs that we had, and the teams that were chosen to be given to us on the second game of these back-to-backs so far in the season, I feel like, you know, we did what we could with what we had, especially barring those injuries to RJ Barrett, who's had a great start. We had a solid week this past week. We went 3-0 last week with the breaks that we had. We beat the breaks off of the Hornets, who we're going to see again shortly in this tournament play. So that was a huge positive. Unfortunately, we weren't able to come out with a win in the back-to-back, and the 3-game win streak, unfortunately, stops at just that. So I'm not going to sit here and cry about that game. We moved, and I expect us to turn things around against the Atlanta Hawks. I really do. Let me know your thoughts about everything in the comments below. What did I miss? Because your comment could be read in the next video, like these ones I'm about to get to right now. First one goes to Bronx Roots 6668. He says, I think what's going to have to be spoken about is which of our guards will be moved to get an asset or a longer athletic wing or power forward. IQ or Grimes looks like candidates to be moved, and I feel like you'd get more for Grimes at this time because he has another year before you need to talk extension. Great point. I don't think we're going to have that conversation just yet, but I think it's a conversation that's going to be coming up as the year goes on. Luckily, so far, as I mentioned with rotations, we've been doing really well with the smaller rotations, especially when it comes to the bench unit. When you're playing guys like IQ, Josh Hart, and Dante DiVincenzo together, it's actually been working so far because we're able to get stops defensively and turn that into fast break points. And that's what you want to do with small lineups. That's how you make a small lineup work, is you play fast, you move the ball, and make the extra pass. And if we're going to commit to that as the season goes on, we might be able to get away with a smaller lineup. Not winning championships. I don't really think this team is a championship winning team, but we definitely can win games and get us back in playoff berth to continue the trajectory of our team going in the right direction. But if we were to talk about trades, if you want me to be completely honest, I know you mentioned Grimes. If there's any trade to be made, I'm looking at Emmanuel Quickley, hypothetically speaking, that is. I don't think the Knicks trade Emmanuel Quickley, but also we have to realize that the situation with Emmanuel Quickley is only going to get very, very tough. I mean, if the Knicks weren't able to meet up with a contract deal with him before the season, which led to him now being a restricted free agent going into the offseason, if we weren't willing to pay him then, who's to say that we're going to be willing to pay him in the offseason? Because the contracts are going to be in the high range. There's going to be teams that are going to want to pay him, and then it's up to us to match him. And there's a possibility that those contracts that he's offered are going to be even higher than the offer he was looking for going into this season. Maybe they'll match it, or maybe they'll be a little bit higher. So if I'm looking at that, and if the Knicks are thinking, there might be a possibility that the Knicks might be weighing options or weighing trades that might include Emmanuel Quickley going into the trade deadline. Again, all hypothetically speaking, there's something to think about to the lane of what Bronx was saying. Iron Beer Grizz? Carl John Baptiste, isn't that you? Damn, okay, for sure. Iron Beer Grizz, I'll go with that. Iron Bear, not beer. What's on my mind? This is what we do. Randle has a mid-game and all sins are forgiven. I'm glad he played solid, ups his trade value, but if he's still a Knick at trade deadline, we can't blame anyone but ourselves. Trade this cancer. Man, I feel like this is a very solid statement. I feel like right now is not the time for me to give my full beliefs on Julius Randle as far as moving, because I feel like we were all very negative and cancerous as a fan base last year when it came to RJ Barrett. And it's no secret that a lot of us are not the happiest when it comes to Julius Randle. But, you know, Julius Randle just such an interesting case, right? I mean, I feel like when Julius Randle's tenure as a Knick is all done, when we look back at his career, it's just going to be such an interesting conversation. That's the best way I can put it. His stats look phenomenal. He's an all-NBA talent. He's an all-star, this, that, and the third with the Knicks. But when it comes to what it ended up with and what his production was when it really mattered, I feel like that's going to be microscoped a lot more when he's not a Knick anymore compared to us now having to use that excuse, but he's all NBA talent, but he's this, but he's that. But I think Carl brings up a very good point that, you know, we forgive a little too easily, but I feel like we're forced to forgive because a lot of people are going to feel a type of way if we don't. So you bring up a good point, Carl. D Marshall 8808. I know that's you, Game Hunter. I know your profile picture. Damn, YouTube out here throwing y'all governments like this. Anyways, Game Hunter, he says, when I see RJ progress, a movie quote comes to mind. He is a hero, not the hero we deserved, but the hero we needed. And on Vicky remembers this. When you walk through the garden without respect, you will feel its thorns. And he's talking about Victor Wembanyama when we played the Spurs last week. Yeah, very, very, very good point. Yeah, RJ Barrett has just been a very, very bright spot for this team. He's definitely benefiting from the FIBA push. He's playing phenomenal basketball, very efficient shot. He's a shooter as of right now. And if the NBA chooses to do this USA versus the world idea for the All-Star conversation, I think RJ Barrett definitely has a case to be one of those All-Stars if he continues to play at this route, especially if he'll be representing for the world. So, yeah, he's definitely had a great start. And Victor Wembanyama, take that. Those are all the comments I'm going to read. I'm going to go rest my voice. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and don't forget to like this video. Let me know your thoughts about everything mentioned in this video in the comment section below. And don't forget to come through tomorrow for Knicks versus Hawks watch along. If you think I'm overhyping it, come through and join the fun. It is a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun, unfortunately, in the loss, but it was great conversations. It was great hanging out with y'all. All right, catch you guys in the next one. Let's get it. Tough loss. We move. Let's beat the Hawks ass. I'm out of here. Peace.
Cold pizza Tuesday. I got food up in the fridge. Y'all keep looking for that new wave. I think I like it how it is.